Okay, objective 118. This is the last one we're going to do prior to spring break. Last week we started learning about how to use the quadratic formula to solve any quadratic equation. If you put it in the order ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We're going to learn here how to solve a quadratic equation a different way. This is called solving a quadratic equation by taking the square root. Now, using the quadratic formula will always work. If you can't remember this way, put it in the quadratic formula and you'll still get an answer. We're actually going to do that first before we look at the new way.
Is this easier?
I would say it's easier, and if it's easier, that's the only reason why you'd want to do it. The quadratic formula will work, but if there's an easier and a quicker way, well, I want you to know how to do it. So here's this equation, x squared equals 9. Is it a quadratic equation?
Yes.
How do you know? It is. It is.
X squared and then the equal makes it an equation.
If you have an equal sign, it's an equation, and the x squared makes it quadratic. So yeah, it's definitely quadratic. So, can we solve it with the quadratic formula?
Yes.
Yes. We absolutely. Any quadratic can be solved, if it's solvable, can be solved with the quadratic equation. So we're going to do it. So what I want to do the quadratic equation, I need to move this 9 over to the left. So I want x squared minus 9 equals 0. X squared minus 9 equals 0. Identify A, B, and C. So my A is what?
1.
Now do you have a B?
No.
You don't have an X piece. So what your B is when you don't have it?
1.
0.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have a B, it's because you've got x squared plus 0 x's minus 9. So B is 0, and then C is negative 9. And so what we're going to do is put this in the calculator. We go x equals negative b, so now you can say x equals negative 0 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 0 squared, minus 4 times a times c. Minus 4 times 1 times negative 9. All over 2a means all over 2 times 1. If we put this in correctly twice, you're going to get 2 answers. So you can even put negative 0 in there. You don't have to put negative 0. But 0 squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a. All right, so I got it in my calculator. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to get one answer, and that answer is 3. I'm going to get my other answer by just changing the plus sign to a subtract sign, and I get negative 3. So my 2 answers were 3 and negative 3. So I'm just going to write that right here. 3 and negative 3. I'm going to put it in that old squiggly bracket.
What the freak?
Is there an easier way?
I thought a capital cursive E.
Squiggly bracket.
That was
bracket.
not there.
What is squiggly bracket if you have a collection of answers? Is there an easier way? There actually is. On this type of problem, there actually is. So I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to kind of explain to you where it's coming from. All right, so remember in math, when we start replacing numbers with letters, all we're really doing is say, I've got an unknown number, something, x squared. Some number when squared equals 9. What number, if you squared it, would give you 9?
3.
3. That one number is 3. If you took 3 and squared it, 3 squared is 9. But there's actually another number that you could square.
Negative and squared, it will equal 9.
If you did negative 3 times negative 3, it also equals 9. So really, this question, when you just have x squared equals 9, is saying what number, if you squared it, gives you 9? Well, 3 does. Also, negative 3 does. So really just 3 and negative 3. That's one way to get the answer without doing the quadratic formula. What number squared would give you 9? 3 would, and negative 3 would. Now we're going to do the process. As these get more complicated, here's the process of how to do this. And here's how you know when this will work. All right, if a quadratic equation does not have an x piece, it does not have a b piece, we can use this method, this square rooting method. You can just solve the equation for x squared and then take the square root. Now when I say solve it for x squared, that means I want x squared on the left by itself, no coefficient, and the number on the right. Now this one's already there. This one says x squared equals 9. What you need to do is square root both sides and put a plus minus on the right. So square root both sides, put a plus minus on the right. The square root and square cross each other out. Remember, this is all just the process. And then you get x equals plus or minus the square root of 9, which is plus or minus 3. So you got to remember to put the plus or minus over on the right side. That's example 1. Now example 2, I got 3x squared minus 48 equals 0. Do you have an x piece in this quadratic equation?
No.
So what you can do, if you don't have an x piece, move all the number business over to the right side, even divide by 3 before you're done, and then square root. So first thing I want to do is move the number, move this c piece over to the right. Plus 48, plus 48. And I got 3x squared equals positive 48. Then I don't want that 3 on here. I want to get the 3 off of there, so divide the 3 off. And I got x squared equals 16. Because 48 divided by 3 is 16. And now that I have x squared on the left and 16 on the right, you can square root both sides, put a plus or minus on the right.
Yeah, I think I might stick with the other way. Seems like a lot more work.
And you get x equals plus or minus, what's the square root of 16?
This is actually a lot less work,
Yeah.
but it seems kind of.
Either way is going to work though. Either way is going to work.
I think I'd like this way better, but the thing that I probably forget is the plus or minus on the right
And
side.
that's the thing you got to remember. So you get plus or minus. That's how you're going to get 2 answers.
What's it equal?
All right. It was plus or minus 4 on that one. All right, let's go real quick, just to see if this is going to be quicker than the quadratic equation. Do you have an x piece on this? No. So we can do the square root method, get all the numbers to the right. So what do I need to subtract first? Yeah, I got minus the 405. So I got negative 5x squared equals negative 405. Then I need to get the coefficient off the x squared. So divide both sides by negative 5. And it comes out to be positive 81. You got negative 405 divided by negative 5. Comes out to be positive 81.
9.
And it's going to be plus or minus 9. So then you square root both sides, give a plus or minus to the right. And x equals plus or minus 9. All right, that's called solving a quadratic equation by taking a square root. When can you use this method?
And there's no x.
And when there's no x piece, this is going to work great. Move the numbers to the right, divide by the coefficient if you have one, and then just square root it with a plus and a minus so that you get 2 answers most of the time.
Saves time.
And that is it for objective 118. If it doesn't work for you very well, you can always identify A, B, and C and use the quadratic formula. It's going to give you the same 2 answers if you do it right.
When teaching us, does it make you feel happy that we're learning,
Always.
that you're taking your knowledge and just like
That's not putting it on.